Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, George's Life. So this is video number 2. I thought I'd do like a sort of a part 2, sort of follow-up video of sort of what happened next after my first video. I'm really happy with the response everyone's given me. It's really nice to get some good feedback. So yeah, I'm just going to get straight into it. About 4 days later, I then met back with my surgeon just to sort of discuss exactly what he'd seen, just to sort of go over with my whole family what he'd seen. He'd also got the biopsy results back, to which he confirmed that, unfortunately, that it was cancer, which we weren't shocked about because you don't normally have a tumour that size inside your stomach. If it was benign or if it wasn't cancerous, it's very unlikely. Not to say that it doesn't happen, but unlikely. So he'd given us all the background information of what it was and what he thought the sort of plan of action was. So he initially told me that I'd have chemotherapy first, then I'd probably have surgery, and then more chemotherapy most likely after that. So what he did was he referred me to my oncologist. So we'd got into the oncologist's room with the nurse there too, and then he started reading off, you know, what he was going to do, what the chemotherapies entailed, for example. So then my sister nearly passed out. So the nurse had to run out, get her some water. You know, they had to pull over the curtain just to make sure that she was okay. So there's the oncologist just going in to check that she was alright, being a general doctor. Fortunately she was fine, she just decided to not eat or drink. So she was given some water and stuff, and you know, she was fine, back to normal. I think it was just the stress of everything combined. So after we got over the issues with my sister, so it's all fun and games, you got to joke about it really. So after that he had spoke to us about the chemotherapy that I was going to have, and it was called ECX. So that stands for epirubicin, exaloda and cisplatin. That is quite a toxic set of drugs, as chemotherapies go. There are different levels of chemotherapy depending on your cancer. So if you haven't got a very aggressive cancer, they will use something that's slightly less potent, because obviously you don't need to harm the body more than you've got to. So what he gave me was very strong. Now the first drug, epirubicin, that is the most toxic thing of them all. Now this drug was so toxic that when it was put inside my veins, if for example my vein was to burst or leak or anything like that, if this drug was to leak inside my body, I would have to have a skin graft for obviously all the skin surrounding the area that it had leaked in, because it would burn and singe that so badly. Obviously that was a very scary thing, but what happened was, after meeting with my oncologist and we'd started all this chemotherapy, they'd have to sit with you in there, the nurses, to make sure that it's all going in and flowing in correctly, which fortunately we never had any problems. Now the side effects for that were not the best. I mean, I was very lucky. You do get nausea with chemotherapy, that is just a general thing. So I did get the occasional bouts of nausea, and I found the best way to sort of combat this was to either eat some really small bites of ginger. I find that kind of gets away the sickness. Also CBD oil, I found that really helpful. So I would get the occasional sickness, but I wouldn't actually be sick, it was more just nausea. So they would give you the normal anti-sickness drugs, but personally I didn't think they worked. I feel that if you start to feel sick and then you take the anti-sickness, it doesn't work. You need to take it before you feel sick for it to work. So that wasn't a pleasant experience. So I went for my first chemotherapy about a day after I had seen my oncologist. I had my blood taken on the day I'd seen my oncologist, because they have to obviously check all your blood to make sure that you are suitable and healthy enough to have chemotherapy. Which I did, and it was all okay. So I then got to the hospital, and it was more of just a generalised chit chat with the nurses before they started to do everything. So we got there, I was lying in my hospital bed, they cannulated me all okay, and then they started putting in the epirubicin, so the very toxic stuff. It was also red. Now that was actually kind of cool in a way. Once they put it into you, when you then go to the toilet, your urine is pure red, almost like you're urinating blood. Obviously you're not, they've just put some very toxic drug into you. So I had that drug first, and then I had the cisplatin afterwards. Now, the Exaloda was a tablet drug, so it was a drug that I took home and I took every day. And I've calculated that I've taken over 1,100 of these tablets. Now they're about that kind of size. They're quite small, about paracetamol kind of size. And you would have them with every meal that you ate within the day. So we started on that. And there was obviously no guarantees that would work. So after a couple of months of the chemotherapy, it ran in cycles. So I would have my day of chemotherapy, then I had 3 weeks off, but obviously taking my tablets every day, and then I would come back 2 days before my chemotherapy to have my bloods checked, and then as long as my bloods were okay, I'd have chemotherapy after that. So once we'd had my scan, after my couple of times of chemotherapy, we just wanted to know that it was all working okay and making sure that it was doing the job that it was supposed to. The issue with my tumour was it was so large that it couldn't just be operated on straight away. It had to be shrunk before they could have operated at all. So that's what they had to do. So after about the second chemotherapy, we had a scan to check that everything was okay. And praise the Lord, or the gods, or the entities, it did work, and it was shrinking the tumour. So, very, very good sign. Now, I had 6 cycles of this chemotherapy. I had 3 before my surgery, so that was from November 2018 till February. I then had my surgery in March. Now, they wanted to give me a month gap just for my bloods to come back up, my body to get stronger, because obviously I was going to have this big surgery. So that's what we did, and it took a lot of time to sort of get used to that and sort of get into the swing of having chemotherapy, because it takes a toll on a lot of things, you know. It's not just physical, it affects your brain, it affects the way you think, you know, but chemotherapy isn't as bad as you think. I was very lucky with it, okay, and I think it's about how you make it. The side effects aren't fun. There's no good side effects about chemotherapy. I lost my hair, I had little specks of hair and little sort of waving antennas in the wind. I was very, very bald. I shall insert a picture now. So that's the picture of me looking very bald and very fat. So that was me on chemotherapy. Now they told me to eat a lot, so I took that in my stride. I was having ice cream for breakfast, pancakes, syrup, chocolate, everything. You know, the amount of sugar and calories and carbohydrates, I was consuming them. I was eating like 10 times a day. Really was filling my boots and my stomach, which they were really happy about, because I'd struggled to do that before whilst I was on chemotherapy, as my stomach was actually taken up by about 40–50% tumour. So obviously I couldn't eat more than 50% of my stomach capacity. So I was losing weight. But once they started the chemotherapy and it started to work, I was able to eat more, which was really, really good. So a bit of a short video than last time. I wanted to try and condense down a little bit because I thought 15 minutes was a bit too long. So what I want to do next video is more of like part 3, so sort of more talking about my surgery, more about what that entailed, what they removed, that kind of thing, my recovery afterwards, how my life has changed and what I've adapted now for it to sort of be a bit more amicable and make it work. So yeah, if you'd like to watch that and you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, see you in the next video.